So this problem of the observation, in which areas are you talking about that? How big is this problem of observation?
It's in every area, because every area is caught in this problem.
Like, for instance?
For instance, problems between nations. Nations will end up perceiving in each other their own, what we call shadow.
And the devil came here yesterday. Yesterday, the devil came here. Right here. And it smells of sulfur still today.
And their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil.
I think that if not more people try to reflect and take back their projections and take the opposites within themselves, there will be a total destruction.
And based on that, they will be perceiving the world, the other, in terms of a sense of separateness, which is the basis of all conflicts and wars. And we're not aware of that. So, in every area, interpersonally, internationally, but in science is amassing knowledge based on that sense of separateness, which is the illusion. The Western world is still building knowledge based on that problem of observation. So the whole of Western medicine and technology is actually a lie, because it's based on a wrong sense of reality, a wrong conception of reality.
This first got established in physics. How did they find out about the observation problem?
Well, basically only in quantum physics we really started to state this consciously, where we started to realize that it's impossible to separate the observer from the observed. That the moment the observer enters the situation is changed by the very observer. This is the way this awareness entered physics.
What they taught us in school isn't really the way it is, and that our senses are playing tricks on us. You just gotta wonder, what is this reality that we find ourselves in? Quantum physics says it's all just waves of information. Do I believe that? I hope so.
But in Jungian psychology, we were a long time aware of this, and that is that you do not perceive the world, but you perceive your own interpretations of the world and your own projections. And that posed a serious problem that most of science and other areas of Western culture is still in denial of. So when we acknowledge that problem of observation and we move on, given that understanding, then we realize that basically the sensorial way of observing is basically shielding us off of what reality really is. And then we find that, okay, so what lies beyond that veil? What lies beyond those glasses that we have on that is actually tricking us into a false sense of reality where we are caught in what I call a particle state of self. Beyond that, we know lies what we call the wave.
So, they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits and it goes through neither. and it goes through just one, and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange netherworld of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
And the wave is that essential oneness, divine, sacred, or however you want to call it. And its connection with that deeper wave state that heals, and but which thus observation cuts us off. In the tradition of Jung, that we basically find the mechanism, the practices necessary to go back to the wave state, to go back to that fundamental wholeness. And that step is what we call self-awareness. So we must start to realize that what I am seeing outside of me is a projection. That I am basically perceiving my own thoughts, my own interpretations. And that changes the whole ballgame. As long as we try to endure and look to understand reality as something external to us, we will be lost. But the step to saying, okay, I will never be able to understand reality loose from me, the observer, but that reality is a contraption set up to help me become aware of myself. Because when I say that I am basically experiencing my own projections, it's basically then saying that reality is one big mirror at that level. Then I start to heal that particle state of the self, which takes me to the deeper levels of the self, where everything is connected. You see, in those, so then we don't speak of reality as the world external. We speak of the self at the deepest spiritual levels, where everything is one. I had a dream in which I was looking at a tree, a typical Aruban tree, and I started to realize how beautiful it was. I really just started to see its beauty, and all of a sudden in the dream, the tree started to move, and the trees actually started to bend toward me and started to caress my face. And that is actually the way nature would behave if we were to reconnect to that deeper level, where I am the tree. And nature is actually wired in that way, in terms of what we call divine interconnectedness. But when we fall into this observation illusion, we disconnect from that divine interconnectedness, and then nature will behave the way we are perceiving it.